Hey gang, so I am just back from Kinetic Fire Retreat, which I had a great time at. I got to teach the most people ever my Poi Dance Masterclass. I'm also very much out of it, partially because it's always a process to kind of recover from travel and recover from fire festivals. And also because this past week has definitely been marked by a lot of kind of heavy things in my life, most notably the death of a good friend here in DC, and it's the anniversary of the death of another friend. So I wanted to kind of take this opportunity to talk a little bit about kind of the people we have in our community that we lose and the importance of remembering them and how that affects us. And before we dive in, I just wanted to give a shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow Toys, LMF Props, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all of these companies by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. So, a week ago Sunday, we lost a very wonderful member of the DC fire community. His name was Larry Hickman, but we would more often call him Lunar or Lunar Larry. Larry was kind of the epicenter of the fire community here in DC when I first moved here about 11 years ago. He hosted spin jams in his backyard, and he was the shin of the first fire conclave that I was ever a part of. He also hosted workshops and regular events at his house too. In fact, I would say his backyard in Alexandria was really the place that, fire had a home here in DC when I first got here. And Larry himself was an incredibly sweet guy. He was definitely one of those people for whom, no matter who you were or where you were from or, where you were going, you had a home in his backyard. He went out of his way to bring in people that, otherwise had a tough time getting along wherever they were from and everything, and made it feel very much like a home. And, in a lot of respects, that's something that I wish I were better at, being more welcoming to people and giving them a place that felt like home. And Larry really excelled at it. I hadn't talked to Larry in a couple of years, partially because he had taken ill with a variety of different maladies, including the lung cancer that eventually did him in. But I definitely remember him as somebody without whom my own career and my time here in DC in the fire community would have been very different if it even happened at all. When I first moved here, I didn't know anybody. I had moved to DC for work, and having a fire community here to plug into and a conclave to begin work with and everything, that really helped DC come around to feeling like home sooner rather than later. And without Larry, that definitely wouldn't have been possible. Now, Larry's not the only person that we lost about this time of year. 5 years ago, there's a gentleman who actually was one of the organizers of Kinetic, Ryan Allen, who we all knew as Whistles, that passed away in a car wreck, actually coming home from Kinetic Fire. And Ryan is one of the sweetest people that I've ever met in my life. I first got to know him hanging out at Kinetic. He was as one of the organizers. He and I would talk a lot about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, like some of their plans for the year and what they were hoping to get out of it and everything. And, I remember having these long conversations with him talking about, the most responsible ways to engage in community and to communicate with attendees and to maintain connections even in the off-season and everything. And he always struck me as somebody who had an incredibly good head on his shoulders, who, in the grand scheme of things, sometimes we wind up with people in leadership positions or organizing positions that are kind of in it for the wrong reasons. They want to feel like they have power or they're in charge of something. And Ryan was one of those people that really truly did it because he wanted to provide an amazing experience for everybody who showed up to Kinetic. And that is, unfortunately, kind of a rare thing sometimes. And one of those things that I remember thinking, thank God he's one of these people who's helping to organize this thing. Just a few hours before he died, we had lunch in Cincinnati right before he was supposed to get on the road to drive back to Minnesota and everything. And it's one of the most lovely conversations I've ever had with another human being. We talked for hours about everything from the flow arts world to, how I have built my own career, and also about his son, who unfortunately he left behind. And I remember parting in such a way that after I got the news that he'd passed away, just thinking, thank God that was my last conversation with him, because I could not imagine a better note to leave things on between us. And the thing with both Larry and Ryan is that these are not people that I'm willing to bet most of you out there have ever heard of. They're not people that you've encountered or that you've been following their social media or anything like that. These are people that have made it possible for people like myself who are out there on social media to be able to do what we do, to have communities to plug into, to have events to go to and everything. And on a certain level, it makes me really sad that, only a few of us remember Ryan and only a few of us remember Larry, because the work that they do is just as important as this work of putting content out on YouTube or Instagram or what have you, that the communities that they create are still real and still relevant. They just only have that limited reach within an area, but it's so incredibly important to the people who live inside of that area. So if you will forgive me the moment of giving you guys something you may not have signed up for, I kind of want to take this moment to give both of these wonderful men my platform for a second, to give Larry and Ryan a place where they can reach out and be seen by a lot of other people out there. And it's my hope that we put in the effort as a community to remember people like this, to remember the people that, are not necessarily out there creating content for everybody, but that are still doing the hard and important work of building our community and making it a wonderful place to be. So if you guys can think of people in your community that make that happen for you, the people that are the social anchors, the people that create the opportunities for you to be able to do the things that you enjoy and connect with people, I'd love to hear about them. Let me know down in the comments. Tell me who's important in your community and why. And, if they are somebody who has left us, also, please share with me some of your memories of them, because I think it's important that we hold on to these people and that we keep them in our hearts and our minds. And for as long as possible, we don't let them die completely. So on that cheery note, big thanks to all the folks that came out and took my classes at Kinetic. I will definitely say that teaching my poi dance masterclass to such an enormous group of people was one of the highlights of the weekend, and then getting to perform it in the fire circle was just absolutely incredible. And any festival that takes that class from me, that's now going to be a part of it. Thank you guys for taking my mind off of all this for just a few minutes and helping me create something that I was really proud of in the process. And I'm also going to ask another favor, which is that if you like this video and you like my content in general, that you make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. So there's a really specific reason that I'm asking for this, and this is something that I've just discovered, which is that YouTube is constantly changing its algorithm so that what you get suggested when you first arrive on the homepage and everything is not necessarily the stuff that you've signed up to see, but it's the stuff that YouTube thinks you want to see. Subscribing to somebody no longer actually means very much, but ringing that notification bell does. If you ring the notification bell, it will cut through the suggestion algorithm and give you my content whenever I post a new video, which I've been doing twice a week for the past few months. So if you want to keep on getting my content regularly, make sure you're hitting that bell, because it is important. And finally, I just want to put a massive thank you out there to my wonderful supporters on Patreon who make this video and all the videos on this channel possible. If you would like to sign up to support the work that I'm doing, please head on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and sign up. And there are a bunch of rewards, from getting early access to my videos all the way up to things like getting your name credited, the sign-off that I just did, and of course the Flow Circle, where you can get a weekly email with a brand new 5-minute poi drill in it, if that is a way that you would like to learn. Thank you guys for watching this one. I know that it is not as educational or cheery as my usual content, but this is where my head was today. So thank you all for tuning in, and make sure that you hold your loved ones close, because you never know how much time you're going to get left with them. Yeah? All right. Peace, guys.